So despite what you think of Jon Bernthal's portrayal as the iconic Punisher in Daredevil Season 2, it's obvious that there's a lot of actors out there, and he's one of them, who are not really fans of the superhero genre. Now that's nothing against them, this is something that's very common with a lot of actors before they actually end up picking up these roles. A lot of actors in the DC movies, a lot of actors in the Marvel films have never picked up a comic and they thought it was childish to be in these because, once upon a time, these properties were just seen as throwaway childish characters, guys in tights running around doing nothing. But now that the movie and storytelling aspect has evolved past that, pretty much everybody wants to get in on these films now and regrets turning down any of these roles in the last couple of years, specifically the MCU roles. And it's kind of interesting that he really didn't have a passion to play anything in Marvel or DC, considering he was, in The Walking Dead, which is one of the most famous comics of all time right now, and the TV series has certainly boosted that popularity. Now obviously it's a different tone, and The Walking Dead is a much darker property, but when you think of Walking Dead, just the name alone screams, violence, and once you see it, it's completely different than anything Marvel does in film or TV. But obviously when he was offered a Punisher, looking at it and how that's taken, clearly with Daredevil Season 1 out there, and he probably had a chance to watch it, he understood what he would get. And he did have some interesting stuff to say about that. And he says, "I'm working on the Punisher now. This whole superhero comic book thing is something I had zero interest in being a part of. The guys that I really respect as actors seem to have a kind of purposely stay away mentality." And then he goes on and talks about the Punisher, and he says, "He's a freaking tortured, angry father and husband who's living in this unbelievable world of darkness and loss and torment. Frank Castle resonates with me, and comic book fans are the greatest fans on Earth." And obviously, when we've seen him talk previously, he understands why the fans love the Punisher, and he understands why it was so important to get this character right finally. Now, despite of what you think of his portrayal, I think it's, probably the best so far, and I say this as a guy who loves every iteration previously of Punisher for different reasons, but this is definitely the definitive one, and I think he definitely showed his acting chops and what Frank Castle is during that graveyard scene. If you didn't start building up a tear during that, then clearly the Punisher isn't for you. But honestly, I'm glad that he's one of these actors who decided to give it a try, because once I saw him as the Punisher, I knew that my favorite comic book vigilante has come to life in a perfect manner, and I could not ask for a better actor. So overall, I'm satisfied. I'm glad to see what he says. Is there any other actors that you guys think would be great as characters you could never see them playing?